I got too drunk to care what happened the next day. My nightmare began. Seems weird, but a one night's drinking mistake has cost me a whole lot. I lost both my boyfriend and my 4-year relationship just because of something stupid I did. I got carried away by the feeling of the moment and messed things up for myself. But everyone makes mistakes, right? I don't just get why my mistake is still not forgiven. I'll be going by the name Ellen, guys, and in case you're curious about my age and what I do, I am a 25-year-old nail technician. The name of my now ex-boyfriend is Pascal. He is a 26-year-old manager at a company that I can't really mention now because I don't want to complicate things further for both Pascal and I. I'm here to seek advice on what to do to get my boyfriend back. I have tried everything just to get back with Pascal, but it's not working. Pascal is being difficult to talk to. My boyfriend and I met each other 6 years ago at a function. We became friends and have been dating for 4 years. Actually, Pascal has not really proposed to me yet to be his wife. He was going to do that before I blew things up. Pascal and I planned on settling down in our 3rd year of dating, but as it looks right now, that is never going to happen between us again. Every day I keep hoping that one day Pascal would have a change of mind and forgive me. Honestly, I'm ready to change and start afresh. One thing I'm desperately hoping for is that we can go back to how we were before. 4 years of my life can't go in vain like that. If he knew he wasn't going to get married to me, why did he have to put my hopes so high and then break up with me like it means nothing? Pascal was lucky to get promoted at work, and right now he is earning really well. We can now afford the things we couldn't when we first moved into the city. Pascal is such a nice and hardworking man. One of the things I loved most about him was how he loved and cared for me. The little he had, he used it to get me gifts. That was what really motivated me to stay with him during that time. When things started working out well for Pascal, he got me a place to do my nail business. He was very supportive and caring. After putting a whole lot of effort in the relationship, Pascal wants to end things with me? No guys, I won't let that happen. I will continue trying my best to make him change his mind and for us to get back together as we were. I know I messed things up by not listening to him when he tried to stop me from attending a particular party. Usually I'm the type that likes to party and have fun with my friends. Pascal also loves partying, but not as much as I do. So guys, this party was hosted by one of Pascal's friends, Ethan. Ethan and Pascal were friends, in fact very good friends at that. But Ethan is a direct opposite of Pascal. Ethan loves partying as much as I do, but he lived a reckless life. Pascal always warned me never to get too close to Ethan because he knows what he's capable of doing. I never listened to Pascal. I always thought he didn't want me to have fun since I loved partying. Ethan was the type of guy I wanted. He's someone that likes partying and creating fun memories with his friends. Just that Ethan never did it out of moderation. He drinks and smokes a lot. In fact, he drinks more than I do. So getting close to Ethan was something Pascal didn't want because he was a bad influence on me. Despite his warnings and all, I still didn't listen and got close to Ethan. Sometimes Pascal always went to parties with me, especially the one organized by Ethan. He was protective of me because he didn't want me to do anything stupid when he's not around. The times he followed me to parties was out of his inconvenience. Anytime Ethan invites us for a party, Pascal would usually turn him down, but I would always insist on going. Pascal had no choice but to go just so he could keep an eye on me. I didn't get the reasons why he was doing that. I was always mad at him anytime he did that because I didn't get the fact that someone would babysit a full-grown woman like me. I didn't understand that until one day when Ethan invited us as usual to his housewarming party. At that time he got a new house and wanted to celebrate it, and so he invited all of his close friends for a little party. As usual, Pascal told me not to attend because he wouldn't be attending also. I was fed up with his constant refusal for us not to attend any of Ethan's parties, even though I do end up going at the end of the day. Pascal told me that he was simply doing it for my own good, and that he knew Ethan more than I did. His response didn't just settle well with me at that moment, and we got into a heated argument. Pascal and I argued and called ourselves all sorts of names. We both were mad at each other throughout the day, but we managed to sort things out the night of that day on the condition that Pascal and I would both attend the party and be at each other's company. I agreed to it even though it looked uncomfortable. I never liked the idea of being monitored by Pascal because I didn't know why he tried to not let Ethan and I stay together for just 5 minutes. So guys, on the day of the party, Pascal and I both got ready to attend together. After all, we had agreed on being in each other's space throughout the party. When we got to the venue, everything was moving really well. The guests arrived in their numbers before we knew it. Everywhere was filled to the brim. Of course, Ethan was loved by many because of his friendly aura. Most of his friends were exactly like him. Sometimes I wonder how Ethan and Pascal became friends because they were from two different words. So guys, the party was fun. There was lots of food to eat and drinks to chill for the night. We had a fun time playing games and lots of amazing activities. One of the games we played involved us taking some shots if anyone gets the answer wrong. We were made to drink, and it happened that I took the most shots. In not less than 30 minutes I was already drunk, but not too drunk, because I remembered when Pascal tried to stop me from taking any more shots. I also remembered us having a fight in front of our friends. Not long after that, the music was turned on and everyone started dancing with their partners. I left Pascal and went to dance with other random guys that were at the party. I even remembered dancing with Ethan. Anything that happened after that, I can't really remember that night. The next morning I woke up with a severe headache. My head was pounding so hard. I didn't need anyone or the doctor to tell me that it was the effects of the alcohol I drank the previous night. I drank so much that I didn't remember how I ended up in a strange room. It took me about a few minutes to realize that I wasn't in Pascal's room. I tried to remember how I ended up in a strange room, and to crown it up, I was naked on the bed. At that moment I thought maybe Pascal and I had spent the night together in the room and we couldn't get home and lodge there for the night. The thought ran through my head and I didn't think much about it. Not until the bathroom door opened and I got the biggest shock of my life. The person that came out of the bathroom was not my boyfriend Pascal, but Ethan. Yes guys, Ethan came out of the bathroom with a towel tied around his waist. At that moment that meant only one thing, right? That we had spent the night together. I didn't want to believe that, and I asked Ethan what happened and why I was naked on the bed and why he had a towel tied to his waist. I also asked him where Pascal was and why he was in the room with me instead of my boyfriend Pascal. Instead of Ethan giving me answers to my questions, he gave me a mischievous smile and jumped on the bed and kissed me on my forehead. Immediately I slapped him and warned him never to try such with me again. Ethan started laughing at me in a mocking way. He asked me why I was refusing him all of a sudden when I was the one that voluntarily followed him to his room and we both had a great night together. That moment I couldn't believe what Ethan told me. I was shocked to hear those words from him because I couldn't remember anything like that. I suspected that he spiced my drinks so he could spend the night with me because on several occasions, Ethan had been making advances to me but I turned him down. So in order to get me, he spiced my drinks. That was what I thought, but to my surprise, Ethan said he didn't do anything like that. He told me that if I didn't believe what he had said, then I was free to ask Pascal or any of our friends that were at the party. I was so disappointed in myself for having to drink that much. I was even ashamed to even meet Pascal. I bursted into tears and accused him of taking advantage of me even though he knew that I was intoxicated. Ethan insisted that I agreed to spend the night with him. Of course, I didn't believe any of the things he told me. I picked up my phone to call Pascal, but his lines were switched off. I also called a few friends that were present at the party that I was close to, but no one picked. Actually, it was very early and most of them would have been still in bed at that time considering when the party ended the previous night. One of the things that bothered me the most was that Pascal's lines were off. I thought of how he would feel after hearing that I spent a night with someone he constantly warned me to stay away from. I kept asking myself if I should open up to him or should act like nothing happened. I was so restless and ashamed of myself. Ethan made things worse for me that morning by mocking me. He even had the audacity to tell me to spend one more night with him. I left there ashamed. On my way back home, I was very restless. I thought of how Pascal would react after learning about it. At that moment, I also wanted to know what really happened and how I ended up in Ethan's room. I got to the house but didn't meet Pascal at home. I realized that he went to work already, so I was alone. I went inside, freshened up and made lunch for us to eat. At that moment, I tried calling Pascal but his lines were still switched off. I wasn't comfortable or even able to eat the food I made after knowing what I did. I knew I was in serious trouble. Even if I had the intention of cheating on Pascal, then at least not Ethan of all people. I realized why Pascal tried to not let Ethan in my path cross because of what he was capable of doing. I should have listened to him, but then I was just too stubborn and stupid to understand where he was coming from. So guys, I waited throughout the day for Pascal to return back home. As usual, he came back on time. When Pascal opened the door, I fell on my knees to apologize to Pascal. I told him that I was sorry for what I did and that it would never happen again. I also told him that I was going to mend my ways and make things right between us. While I was saying all of that, Pascal interrupted me and asked what I had done wrong and why I was on my knees crying like a baby. Immediately I got confused. I didn't understand what was going on. Pascal held me up and said he was confused. He told me he didn't understand what I was talking about and insisted we shouldn't stress it further. Honestly, to say that I was shocked by Pascal's reaction was an understatement. That wasn't the kind of reaction I was expecting from him. After that day, I couldn't stop thinking about all that happened between Ethan and I. At that time, I needed an explanation of what happened, but Pascal was the wrong person to ask. I couldn't think of any other person to ask apart from my friends, Tamara and Olivia. I called them and asked if we could meet up and told them I needed to know about something important. They both agreed and we met at our usual spot. I explained everything that happened when I woke up. I also asked them how I got to Ethan's room because I couldn't remember anything. I also told them about Pascal's reaction when he got back home. Olivia and Tamara were also surprised by Pascal's reaction. It was there they told me everything that happened. Guys, my friends told me that when Ethan and I started dancing, Pascal came and tried taking me away, but I refused and slapped him before telling him not to try that with me. In fact, we caught the attention of everyone in the room. Olivia then said despite the slap, Pascal still insisted on us going, but I refused and told him that I wouldn't be going home with him because I was tired of being babysit. I was also shocked when Tamara said that I took a stand with Ethan in front of everyone. Pascal left the party alone because I refused to go with him. That was how I ended up spending the night with Ethan. What I was confused about was why Pascal treated me nice at that time when he knew what happened but pretended like nothing like that even happened at all. My friends were also surprised. They told me to try and ask him why he was pretending when he knew everything that happened that night. Tamara suggested that it was possible he just forgave me and didn't mind what I did, but Olivia didn't think that was the case. She told me to ask him about everything that happened that night because she was surprised and wondered why Pascal was acting all nice after everything. I myself was also surprised. I told myself that if all what my friends told me was true, then Pascal was definitely acting funny. I also suspected that he was also drunk that night and that's why he couldn't remember. Those thoughts ran through my mind all day. After the meet-up with my friends, I went back home with lots of questions on my mind for Pascal. I got home and met him on the bed watching some random videos. I asked him to tell me what happened the night of Ethan's party and why we both didn't come back home together. Pascal said we both passed the night at Ethan's place with a few people in the room because it was too late to drive back home that night. He even apologized for leaving me alone in the morning. He told me his boss called and had to leave early and didn't want to wake me up because he knew I was tired from the previous night. Pascal said that was what happened and asked if everything was okay with me. At that moment, I didn't know who to believe between Pascal and my friends. I was very confused. Pascal's story sounded made up to me because I didn't wake up with anybody aside from Ethan. Everything Ethan told me that morning made a little sense with what my friends told me. The part Ethan said I followed him to his room voluntarily, and the one my friends told me that I took a stand with Ethan in front of everyone made me know that Pascal was not telling me the truth. But I didn't understand why he did that. I was lost in my own thoughts when Pascal told me that everything that happened was all in the past and that I shouldn't think about it again, which I agreed to. After that day, Pascal and I lived our normal lives. Everything went well, but his behavior towards me didn't change. Guys, if I had known better, I would have packed my bags and left Pascal's house after the meeting with my friends. My friends and Ethan were telling the truth of what happened that night. Pascal lied to me so he could have his revenge on me. He made it look like nothing happened so he could make me forget about everything. My friends warned me to leave, but I insisted on staying because Pascal was nice to me and didn't know that I cheated on him with Ethan. At that time they thought I was being crazy to stay with someone that I left for his friend but pretended like nothing happened. I should have listened to them and left, but I was still in love with Pascal. At that time I didn't know what was coming for me. A week after the party everything went normal. Pascal came back from work one day and said there was a party at his workplace and I was going to be his +1. It was the annual office party. I was happy to be going with him again, but I didn't know that that party was a setup. The day of the party came and we went together. I was used to everything, nothing special. But what got me surprised was when it was time for dancing and I saw Pascal dancing inappropriately with his female colleagues. Another shocking part of it was when I noticed that his female colleagues were the ones coming close to him for a dance and he didn't turn them down. Of course, everyone was allowed to dance with whomever they wanted at the party. But I wasn't comfortable with the way most of his single female colleagues were drooling over my boyfriend. The most surprising part of it was that Pascal was too comfortable dancing with them. He didn't think about the possibility of his actions hurting my feelings with the way he was dancing with them. It was almost as if it was some sort of dance competition they were in. I was very furious at that moment and I felt like going over there and dragging him out, but I couldn't. I just stood there fuming in anger. I took it out on the glass of wine that was in my hand. I didn't know when I threw it on the wall. Thankfully no one noticed because the music was too loud and most of the people present were on the dance floor. I was just there alone at a corner flaring up. It made me regret coming to the party that day. Pascal was never like that. In our 4 years of attending the office party together, Pascal had never danced with anyone else apart from me. I thought about what changed and why he decided to start dancing inappropriately with his female colleagues. What even pissed me off was that he didn't ask if I wanted to dance with him or not. Pascal made the excuse of going to get us more drinks, and when he got the drinks, those shameless ladies had the audacity to take it from him. Pascal couldn't even be responsible enough to leave there. Instead, he stayed. It felt like he was enjoying himself at that moment and I was being humiliated. What broke the camel's back for me was when those ladies were making him drink from their glasses. I was so pissed that I decided to go over there and drag him out. When I got there, they surrounded Pascal just so I wouldn't get close to him. I didn't want to create any scenes, so I pulled Pascal out and told them he was mine. Pascal and I went back to where we sat together before he left for drinks. I just couldn't pretend like I wasn't bothered, so I asked him what was the meaning of what he did with those ladies despite knowing that his actions would hurt my feelings. Pascal said it was just a dance and it wasn't a big deal. I told him it was a big deal for me because I felt disrespected by the way he was dancing with those ladies. Pascal felt no remorse. He said I was overreacting for no reason. Pascal's response added to my anger, and I told him that I didn't want to stay any longer and he should take me home. Pascal refused and said the party had just begun and that the night was still young for us to leave. I insisted on going, but he was adamant to listen to me. I felt disrespected and hurt by Pascal's behavior that night. We were having a back and forth when Pascal's boss walked up to ask if everything was fine because he noticed that we seemed to be arguing about something. Pascal said everything was fine and that we just had a little misunderstanding. His boss didn't believe it because the look on my face made him know that I was angry at something, but he didn't push further. Pascal's boss told us to not let anything spoil our mood and we should have fun. Pascal nodded and faked a smile for him just so he could leave us alone at that moment. After he left, Pascal said we had to suspend the conversation till we got home because he was there to have a good time. Pascal told me to leave if I get bored or tired. After saying all of that to me, he left and went to hang out with his colleagues that were at the bar stand. At that moment I wanted to tear up because I was hurt by Pascal's words. I couldn't go home because I had no cash with me to pay for a ride back home. I didn't think that the party was going to turn out the way it did. If I had known, I would have taken some cash with me for some backup. I felt trapped in the party. I had no choice but to wait for Pascal to finish up with whatever he was doing at that time. The rest of the night annoyed me. Pascal didn't stop disrespecting me with those ladies. In fact, their numbers increased as the night kept going. It was as if Pascal knew what he was doing, but I didn't understand the message he tried to pass across to me. After a few hours, the party ended. Everyone started leaving the moment the party was brought to an end, but it took Pascal forever to leave. He was just busy wishing random people a good night. When he saw that I was impatient to leave, he continued. Of course, Pascal wasn't drunk, and I am 100% sure of it. He knew what he was doing at that time, but I couldn't understand why he had changed all of a sudden. We were able to leave when one of Pascal's colleagues saw how impatient I was standing by the car. He told Pascal to cut the discussion with them so he could take me home. Pascal reluctantly agreed to what he said. Pascal and his friends rounded up with whatever they were doing, and we got into the car. Halfway through the ride, Pascal was pissed at something. I didn't understand why he was pissed when I was supposed to be mad after waiting for hours. I had to ask him what was making him pissed. He yelled out so loud and asked me what my problem was and why I agreed to come with him if I knew I was going to act stupid in front of everyone. At that moment, I couldn't wrap my head around what he had said. I had to ask him to make his point clear because I didn't remember acting stupid in any way. Upon hearing that from me, Pascal ignored me and continued driving. Suddenly he decided to stop the car, and I asked if he was trying to have us killed. Pascal looked at me with anger on his face and warned me never to embarrass him the way I did in front of his female colleagues again. He told me if I wasn't comfortable with him dancing with them that I can pack up and leave his house. Of course, I was angry with what he said and told him I would drag him out anytime I see him dancing inappropriately with anyone. Immediately Pascal asked me to get out of his car. I refused and said he must be joking to ask me out. Guys, Pascal got down from the car and came over to the passenger's door and dragged me out. He told me to find my way home and that he couldn't continue the ride with me. At that moment, I couldn't understand what was going on. I thought maybe I was dreaming or something. Like, how could Pascal ask me out of his car? Was he drunk or something? That's what I kept thinking, and I just couldn't stop asking myself questions at that time. I was alone on the street thinking about everything. Pascal drove off, leaving me on the street stranded. He never drove back to even apologize or take me back with him. Everywhere was quiet, and there were no cars passing on the street. It was some minutes past 12 a.m. in the morning. Pascal had the mind to leave a lady all alone on the street at that odd hour without even thinking if anything would happen to me. I kept asking myself how I got there and what had gotten into Pascal. He was never like that. Guys, at that moment, I asked myself a lot of questions that I couldn't find the answers to. That night, I was able to get home with the help of Olivia. I called her and explained everything to her. I was lucky she was somewhere not too far away from me. Apparently Olivia and her fiancé went to a party together that night, and they were on their way back home when I called her. If not for her, I would have been stranded on my way back home. I wouldn't have known how to get back. Olivia and her fiancé dropped me at home before they drove off. I went to open the door, but I discovered that Pascal had locked me out. I managed to get in because I had a spare key with me. I came inside and met Pascal sleeping on the bed like nothing happened. That night I freshened up and went to sleep. After what happened that day, Pascal never spoke about it. He didn't apologize for what he did. He was acting normal like nothing happened. I kept thinking if Pascal was really okay or needed any medical attention. I was confused with his behavior. We didn't get to talk as we used to. During those times I wasn't happy at all. I didn't know what was happening. Pascal got angry at any slight provocation. Guys, we were living like roommates. The love he had for me was no longer there, and I was just so stupid to realize it. We no longer slept together like we used to or ate together. He would go out and come back late at night. It was as if I was in the relationship all by myself. I tried asking him if everything was okay, to which he agreed. But I was hurting inside because Pascal was not the guy I used to know. A few weeks later, Pascal proposed we go to a club since I loved clubbing. I accepted because I wanted to feel alive again after being depressed at home. But I was also worried because Pascal never liked going to clubs as much as I did. Him asking us to go there together got me a little bit worried. Although I didn't think too much about it since we were going to have fun. I just wanted to be sure. I didn't mind if Pascal and I kept going to clubs together. So we got to the club, and guys, it was my favorite club out of all the clubs I had ever been to. I was happy and I had lots of fun. Olivia and Tamara were even at the party with us, which made it more fun for me. The night was going well, not until I saw Pascal dancing with random ladies inappropriately. That was the second time he had the audacity to disrespect me in public. What got me more pissed was that Pascal refused to dance with me. All my efforts to make him dance with me were to no avail. Instead, he turned away and moved over to other girls. At first, I didn't notice. It was Tamara that called my attention to it. At that point, I couldn't take it any longer, and so I went over to where he was. Just when I was about to say something, Pascal held the lady so tight just so it could spite me. And he succeeded because I was very angry with it. I tried separating them, but Pascal and I got heated in an argument. He told me not to dare stop because I was guilty of the same thing. It was there I got to know that he was doing all of these things as a revenge to what I did to him at Ethan's party. He told me he knew that I slept with Ethan but didn't react immediately because he wanted to pay me back for having the nerve to disrespect him the way I did. At that point, everyone was staring at us. The scene was so embarrassing to watch. I couldn't hide my face because I didn't know that Pascal knew about my infidelity but still acted like nothing happened. I fell into his trap. Weeks after that Ethan's party, I wasn't myself. I knew something was wrong but couldn't picture it. Pascal was humiliated in front of everyone at the club. The only way Pascal got me was making me watch him dance with random ladies. He knew how much I hated it, and that was why he kept me at his house to watch him dance with ladies inappropriately. In the presence of everyone, Pascal told me that we were officially over and he doesn't want to have anything to do with me. I fell on my knees and started to plead with him to forgive me. Everyone started making a mockery of me and even took pictures and videos of me. It was the talk of the night. Pascal also said he had the intention of proposing to me before Ethan's party. But after what I did, he changed his mind. To prove it, he brought out the engagement ring for me and everyone that cared to see. Pascal walked out of the club and left me in shame. I ran after him to plead with him, but he pushed me away and warned me not to come close to him again and drove off. At that moment, I couldn't even wait to hear what my friends had to say. They tried to calm me down, but I didn't stay. I stopped a car and went home. On getting home, I met my luggages outside the house. Pascal had everything planned out. He had our housekeeper pack up my bags for me while we were at the party. He actually had everything planned out from the start. He even instructed her not to open the door for me when I get back. I pleaded with her, but she didn't open the door for me. Pascal also didn't want to hear anything I had to say. That night I cried my eyes out and I was really devastated. To be honest, I'm still devastated and I don't know what the future holds. I still want to go back to Pascal no matter what, but I don't understand why he's not letting my mistake go. Update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. Sorry I took so long to give you guys an update. It's been a while now and I actually don't appreciate all of your comments. Everyone seemed to be happy with what happened to me. Some of you were happy that I got the taste of my own medicine. Well, maybe you all feel that way, but it is heartbreaking to see you all taking sides with Pascal. I know what I did was bad and I wouldn't blame it all on alcohol. But the fact still remains that I was also drunk that night. Maybe I should have handled it in a more responsible way or I shouldn't have drank at all. That's all in the past now and there's nothing I can do to change it. And yes, I have stopped taking alcohol for the meantime. It's been 4 months since I last tasted it and I'm proud of myself. I will still keep this up and make sure what happened at Ethan's party never repeats itself again. Pascal and I have gone our separate ways. He broke up with me in the club and he meant everything he said. The fact that I hid what happened between Ethan and I from him worsened the whole case. Well, even if I had opened up to him, he still wouldn't have forgiven me. His mind was made up the moment I stood him up for Ethan. He didn't react immediately and made it look like nothing even happened. Those that were at Ethan's party were surprised to see us being together after that night. Pascal made it look like it was just a mere misunderstanding between us. I should have listened to my friends when they told me to leave, but I refused. The dance with the ladies alone was enough for me to leave, but I didn't. Pascal did things to spite me at home and he really outplayed me. I also got to know that Pascal sold the ring he bought for me. What broke me was when he said I didn't deserve to be engaged to anyone. Those words got to me and I felt really bad for myself. The few weeks I spent at his place made me regret knowing him. I've moved on with myself and I'm trying to let go of everything. But it isn't that easy. I really miss my boyfriend. My love for parties and alcohol cost me a lot. If I didn't drink that day, maybe I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in right now. Life without Pascal is not the same, but I have no choice but to deal with the consequences of my mistake.